You got it, right? We are live streaming on YouTube. Yes, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so now we'll also still just go quickly on that, and just to bring up the topic, what we're discussing. So we are just on time optimization. We are saying that we need to actually get the actual time you are at your workplace. And this is where time attendants come in. And if you go to some industries, you will find time attendants. And that's what you want to look into. And I was saying that all these 4 factors that we've just looked into, customer impact, quality of work, mental health, and time optimization, all of them will give us improved productivity. But now it will depend on what you actually want to achieve. So let's work with me. And we're saying that why we are here today is to look into time optimization, time to produce, so time taken. So how are we going to look into it? So attendance, this has brought in problems. And this is where the issue comes up, that what are we measuring about attendance? Being physically there, not physically there, does it make a change? So a good example is that I used to do payroll some days back, and when you didn't clock in, clock out, your day will go without payment because you are not present at work. So even if you send an email, do not count as if you are at work, and you'll just get to understand why that one happens that way. So number one is this physical attendance, where you are there, we see you, you came in at 8 and you're leaving at 5, or wherever you are. You can always be attendance on physical. Like now we're attending this training. If there's physical where you are somewhere, you are sitting in your room. You know, only that now we cannot, we're not in one place. So that physical attendance, how does it come out? And remember, nowadays, you can clock in and clock out anywhere as long as you have got that application that has been connected to your HRMIS. You can clock in, clock out wherever you are, depending with the settings that you have. So there's physical attendance where you have to be somewhere, you have to be seen within the office space or what. So that will form part of the first attendance that we look into. Then the second part that you also look into is a task-based attendance, where we are saying we want to complete this and your attendance will be required. So we just need you for 30 minutes. We want to brainstorm, or we are having a meeting tomorrow. So can you come in or log in where you are, even in the house, and let us brainstorm? Then after that, we'll count you as if you've already come to work. So what you do at work will be depending on the task that was given out. So systems are there that now you can actually issue tasks to employees. You tell them that today I want you to complete 1, 2, 3, 4. So if they complete within 30 minutes, that's not your problem. If they do it within 24 hours, that's not your problem. But what you want is that task-based, it has to be done within a given, once the task is complete, then that will say that your attendance has been recorded. That's when we can know. And then there is mental attendance, where we are saying you are at workplace or wherever you are. Yes, you can see that you've logged into the training, but are you even part of the training? Now, most part of this is always seen from the quality of the work that you will produce. And a simple one, even if people are on training, people are training and they are training online. So it was a task-based where you are to train online, but mentally you're not there training. So when we issue tests, how well will you score? Just to show us whether mentally you are actually present or you are a bit disturbed. So all these 3 aspects, at sometimes they can occur in a physical location, meaning your office. You need to go to the office, do a brainstorming with the team members that are task-based, that whatever you're going to do that day, or hold a team baraza that you're going to do that day, and you must actually be present mentally. So with the scenario that we are having in our industries, you can have all these 3 happening together. Yeah, or you can have each of them happening, the first 2, or you can have an hybrid of these types of attendance happening wherever you are for any given day that you will be paid. So why do we need attendance? It's for accuracy on time calculations. Remember, we talked about time-based. We are talking about productivity of an employee. We wanted you to give us to give us 30 forms within 30 days. So able to give it within those 30 days. So if you don't measure that timeline, then we'll be missing out on a key aspect on attendance or on productivity. Remember, productivity and time cannot be separated in most cases because they go together. Yeah. So accuracy on time calculations. Someone has worked overtime. So I will know that how many hours did they work? They'll start guessing. And someone is also giving us an example where people write. I don't know. I think you've ever seen it. That someone came at 11:59.9999, right? So they didn't come at exactly 12 or even 12 for 1 because they're trying to just get accuracy. So we get it there. In court cases, you need to have evidence. And we've been doing some research, and Flo is here. And one day we'll give you the output of the research. We're getting that when you have cases of health and safety, where an employee got injured, one of the evidence that you will want to produce is to show that one, the employee was at work during that day. So how can they be at work? By logging in or logging out. So that's why we always have a place where you can log in and log out, whichever way you want to do your work. Whether you're working from home, you should actually be logging in and logging out. Yeah. Now, health and safety requirement. Now, for those of us who have done fire drills, you've always seen that when people told to go out, you go out and queue. Then you want to know who is present and who is absent. So in the first place, people will always come up with a list where they sign and say, so-and-so was within the queue. So want to look for the other person who was not there. So should an accident happen in that company, where we look at the evidence to show that you're actually within the premises. So it's a key thing. I always tell people that apart from time attendance being used to pay employees who are not on commission based, we'll see them in our fourth quadrant, is that clock in, clock out will actually save you big time should something happen, should the building burn down and we cannot trace you. When a family now comes to claim any insurance, we'll be told, were you in the building? Remember the occupier responsibility. They need to show that you were present in that building when as an employee, you are reported to work at work. So you clocked in. So that evidence needs to be there. And then the last one is efficiency. Now, all this that we do needs to be done very fast and in the correct way. So that's where time attendance machine that we're currently having needs to be curated. So that's where now the technology part comes in. Now, why don't we need time attendance? For those of us who claim that it's old school. One, I will not go that direction, but one, it will be on privacy concerns. Remember, as we'll be looking at it later on, you will see that we nowadays, most systems will ask you to, do you want the app to access your location, access your contact? So whenever you install an app into your phone, and most probably when you do attendance app into your phone, your location must be on, meaning you are going to geotag a location or geofence where you can clock in. So you must know where you are. So very easily, someone who is not interested in that information about your presence can actually track you and know where you are and invade your privacy. So privacy issues. The administrative burden. Now, there's a part that you need to continue changing shifts. For those of us who work on shifts, you might have to assign people shifts here and there and change. So you see it coming with some bits of administrative work and limited flexibility. And in this case, we're talking about limited flexibility, and you're saying that because of the administrative part that already we are having, then flexibility becomes a problem because we'll have to look into other aspects before we change, before we go and do some coding behind it. So what are we having really in the first place? So that's why we might go against attendance, just because of these three issues. Now, let's rushing over so that you can get time.
Caroline, Caroline Karaoke, you can mute.
Okay, she's muted.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Can proceed, yeah, okay. Now, industries where we dance when we hear about attendance, manufacturing industry, time attendance is very key. And for machine operators, we're looking at people who do packaging. Attendance is a must. Healthcare, we have doctors on locum. How we know that so and so came? Apart from just treating, okay, they came in for how long? Hospitality, retail. I worked in a retail, yeah. And the positions, if you imagine now everybody was working from home in a retail, in a supermarket. So who will sell for you? Okay, they want to come in at 10. The shop was opened at 8. Who will sell between 8 to 10? How will you correct the defect of indiscipline case? Call centers and professional services. Now, if you work with the big four, you realize now attendance is very key for them, logging in, logging out. And a disclaimer, attendance, time attendance is not all about, in most cases, it's not all about that device that you see on the doors, put there where you can go and say, put your face or your finger to say that detected. Okay, no, we're talking about advanced systems where you can show that you are actually at work and for what period. So these industries will really appreciate attendance. Yeah. And actually within these industries, someone brought in the issue of Gen Z. Really, Gen Z work in retail, they work at call centers, they work at healthcare, they work in manufacturing. So whichever way, so Gen Z that we talk about are Gen Z that are in this category here. Creative industry, graphic designer who wants to do something, who idea has just come at night when they are sleeping, they need to wake up and do their thing. Or there was someone just saw something that relates to what the idea that we are discussing. They need to do it immediately. So them, you might not want to restrict them into log in, log out. Non-profit organizations, NGOs, most of them don't, because they're not for profit, so they're just supporting. So they might not want to have that. Executive and managerial roles in given companies, you might not have them. Commission-based sales roles. How would you want to bring in the attendance to this person? Because they will today do awareness, tomorrow the customer is purchasing. So if you want to look at that in terms of time, clocking out, in and out, you might not be, and you might not help here. High trust work environment. And remember, high trust work environment. Yesterday with Vicky Karuga, Angelica was in that training. We were looking at effective teams, and we discussed about that. So one of the issues was trust among the team members. So when you have trust, then even your boss will not be caring where you are, because you are actually working and will see it out. So again, this is how attendance looks like. So I want us to change our mindset from attendance where we go record, I'm in, I'm out in that book, or it is work from office that only requires attendance. Even working from home requires attendance, and we'll see it as you move forward. Now, how is attendance looking like in HRTech? If you're to do HR attendance in HRTech, it will be slightly different, but not as much different, because the more things change, the more they remain the same. So now, one thing is that you need attendance policy. And we've been saying this, that every time you're thinking about tech, know that your policies must be top-notch for a tech to work. We don't bring technology to help you do a policy. We bring a technology to help you implement the effectiveness of the policy that you have. So you must first define what do you want with attendance. Define roles. Who is doing what role? Who will be clocking in, will be clocking out? Meaning the employee role, the supervisor's role, the HR role, the payroll guy's role, so that you get the roles. What technologies will you be using to manage attendance? That's when you bring in the HR system. Because remember, policy, we have done a training here, and I even attended the training that was by Jellican on policy. And I know that policy has got people, processes, and technology in it. So those three aspects must be well articulated in the first aspect for you to have HR attendance in the tech space. Number two is shift definitions. Now, shifts become another issue when doing attendance, in that you want to know for how long should you be working, within what given periods. And this shifts definition will change company to company. Remember, we talked about professional services. Like now you're working with the big four, where your timeline is only to work from 8 to 5. Beyond that, don't need you. Or you are saying that in our company, we need you to work different shifts, like call centers, where someone will come in at 7, the 7 a.m. shift, 10 a.m. shift, 3 p.m. shift, 6 p.m., night shift, and all that. So you must define them properly well. And manpower planning and shift planning knowledge comes key in here. So if you want us to also look into shift definitions, yeah, and how to come up with proper shifts that will cover your operations, we can also look at it. What do we consider? And one time I was doing shift definitions and brought in the issue with LCM and GCD, the least common multiples and greater common multiples, which we learned they become effective into this place. So if you forgot about them, remind yourself so that you can use them in shift definition, so that people doesn't leave work at 3 a.m., 1 a.m., you don't have transport, or you give people, some people work long hours than the others because you did wrong shift definitions. Now, if you are going to pick a HR system, then it must have a shift planner, what we used to call duty rotas. We are saying that tomorrow Nelson will be reporting at this time and maybe at this place. So the next day we'll be reporting at 11, today is reporting at 7, tomorrow 11, the next day at 2 p.m., your night shift and all that. So you must have a shift planner in the system. That one will give you flexibility of changing your, of even aligning your shifts, so that even your employee, if now they want to work at night, or you have night shift people, then this planner is already there, so that they can come in and work on the same. And the last one is, how do I want to capture attendance? This is where we have got the old mindset where you must have the clock in, clock out machines. And you will see them that even within the internet, within your browser, you can actually clock in, clock out. Within your phone, through the app, you can clock in, clock out. So this now is the area that we are looking into. And now if you were to look at our time attendance in terms of HRTech, then we'll want to pick few systems and see, can we do shift definition on them? Can we do shift planner? Can we do attendance capture within those systems? So what do we need to have and how are they interconnected? So I want to give us time to brainstorm on this and add in our thought process about time attendance and how it will help us in managing employee productivity, leaving out trying to bring in a collective discussion on the same. So Jelican, I want to hand it over to you at this point, because also our time is far much spent and we cannot start looking into systems now, but can we discuss again and get at be at the same level in terms of attendance, so that whenever we when we bring in the systems in our next sessions, now we bring like 3 or 4 systems, we look at them, we can perform it better. Now we are on the same space. Yes, Jelican.
Thank you very much. I have learned a lot. Shift planner is what we used to call duty rosters. Dr. Rebecca, what thoughts can you add on this discussion?
That's quite an ambush, Coach. This is a very insightful conversation around attendance and how we can capture it. And as has been highlighted, I think it is specific to certain industries and organizations. I think most of the tools that we can use has been elaborated very well. I'm still in the conversation. I had dropped off kidogo, but I'm still following. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who has something to tell us about this discussion? Rosa. Then Jojida, what can you tell us about Malala? Malala, I can see your hand is up. tell us something that we can be able to also add to the discussion about time management. Malala, you can unmute yourself.
So good evening. Don't know if you can hear me.
You. Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So I'm an HR in healthcare. And I just want to say that this discussion is very productive. And especially those of us in healthcare, whereby you are managing a number of shifts spanning from the locumers, the full-timers, the consultants, and all varieties of the guys coming in. Just to add on what Nelson was putting across, as we look at time and attendance, with the COVID, which we believe hasn't ended, I believe maybe he might have just forgotten to mention that with the current technology, we are now also having the facial recognition machines, which allows the continuity of the punching without maybe contaminating the machines and everything. So when it comes to, for example, I'll be more of healthcare productivity. You find this is the area whereby you are calling in a consultant, for example, at 10 or let me say 1 a.m. at night for a CS. So it comes in handy to have these machines on board to ensure that the doctor came in, yes. If you are paying per case or you are paying for the time spent, you are able to track the attendance. How much time was the response time is one thing that we look at in healthcare. For example, if you are having an emergency yes at 1 a.m. and the doctor was called at exactly, let's say, midnight. So you want to know what time did the doctor take to be in the facility. So if he punched in at, let's say, let me say 12:45, it means the response time was only 45 minutes. So this is a very key discussion, ideally for those of us in healthcare, and it's very, very educative when it comes to time and attendance, because in healthcare, any delay in a minute might lead to a loss of life. So I believe this will continue, at time and attendance will continue to be a very good discussion. He said this is the version 1 of the discussion, and we welcome it. We are waiting for the next versions and the next versions and the next versions.
Yusuf, thank you very much, Malala. Yusuf.
Oh, good evening to you all.
Good evening to you, my good friend.
Yeah, it's been long. This is quite insightful conversation. Thanks, Nelson, for this. I'm happy that this is a conversation that we're having today. And one thing that many of us forget is that the mistake we do is to believe that we are working for somebody else. And most of you will agree with me. The issue of job security is gone, because those days of saying, the issue of job security, that you are doing this to protect your job or your role, it's gone. And the driving force for a career must come from the individual. As much as we are coming up with this techie, we also have to ask ourselves, why are we there? Why are we working for certain organization? And we must remember always that the jobs are owned by the company or the organization, and we own our own career path. Why am I saying this? I'm trying to complement what Nelson has just talked about this evening in regards to attendance. So you ask yourself, why do you even have all these investments? And the good thing you mentioned about trust at workplace. So as a HR, I know that those where I work now, I just joined another organization. We are implementing, or we are operationalizing the biometric system, the clocking system, and many people are finding it a challenge. And that question of why do you want to monitor us? So as HR people, we are supposed to be the ambassadors to make people understand why we are having this technology. It's not necessarily to monitor them. And we know the issues of privacy, and now that we're talking about data protection in the country. So it's quite insightful, and I'm looking forward, Nelson, for the next session, so that we learn together. Thank you, Jerican.
Thank you, Yusuf. Mulugeta Asefa.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Mulugeta. You're
Good
online.
evening.
Good evening.
Yes, yeah, I'm online. Yeah. So thank you very much for such informative session, and also it's very fruitful. So I got a lot of knowledge about this session. So actually, I have no any new comment on this, but I wanted to appreciate your effort and your commitments. So in the workplace, attendance, it's a must and mandatory, but it must be flexible, because sometimes most of the employee are when we strict, and sometimes our HR procedure is strict, the employee are disengaged. So as much as possible, we have to flexible, and we have to give them a flexible working hours sometimes. So I think the session is very insightful and productive. I wanted to thank again.
Thank you very much. You've made me laugh. Those contradictions, the balancing being very strict.
Yeah.
And hey, okay, thank you, Rosa.
Yes. Thank you very much for organizing this. And this attendance and matters productivity is a very engageful discussion, because I personally work for an automotive industry, and I remember when we started this attendance, the clocking system was actually to curb, especially union rates. They have the hourly system, so every rate they use past work time, overtime, or before or after work time is charged overtime. So how else are we able to tell that this worker has claimed overtime and they were present during that particular hour they were saying that they were working, without signing the worksheets and everything? So the system came in effectively, because when you tell me you're working past the normal work hours, and I have to ask which particular task were you handling, and it is nowhere on record, then it becomes something that is questionable. It comes in as a matter of discipline, probably in late cases, where today you say you're sorry, tomorrow you say you're handling something, then the following day, then within a month or 2 months, a manager can pull out that this is a habitual issue. It's actually supposed to be a discipline issue. So I think more discussions should be handled, especially towards matters attendance when technology is involved, so that we are able to curb all corners and complete. Maybe we can at least by 70 or 80% do away with the manual way of saying that I saw someone, or I didn't see them, or they were present or not present. So more discussion should be had toward this, and I appreciate your time and efforts to gather this information for particular this forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lina. Rina. Okay, I don't know if she's the one who's chewing. We have Joyce.
Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying the opportunity to learn. And I just want to add a few. Okay, I've worked in an organization where, of course, we had time, a clock in and attendance, but we really tried to make it motivating in such a way that as much as we had that, we had flexible working time, so that we had different shifts for different people. When you come in at a certain time, of course, if you come early, you leave early. And that really motivated the staff. So they didn't feel like the clock in was, something that is punishing them, but rather something that is just keeping them in check to make sure they work their hours at their own flexible time. And also there's the issue of timesheets. We used that to fill timesheets. which of course accounted for people who are working overtime. So that was also a motivation. So I think time and attendance can also be used as a motivating tool to staff, as opposed to some staff looking at it like a punishing tool for them. Thank you.
Joy, thank you very much. Kibaya, Jesse.
Thank you, Coach. As I listen to this conversation, I'm just wondering, is any of us working in a social work industry where your employees have to work in tools and they are doing field work? And as a HR sitting in the office, you have to ensure all your clients have been attended to. So the aspect of just special locking attendance comes in handy. And I was thinking, however expensive it might be for an organization to implement, it's very important the existence of the organization. The main task for that organization is to issue services to that client. So if it is not done, it means the organization does not foot its mandate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. Kabiru.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening to you, Diana.
I like the, the discussion is very insightful and effort to having more of this. What I can say about attendance is that it's a cost-saving strategy for any company, and especially when you send your staff, those who are working out in the field, out of the offices, at the sites, like where I work. It's an electrical engineering company whereby our staff go out to those buildings to fix the lights, and until the building comes to completion. What you notice is that most of them, if you place a manual attendance, they'll sign for each other. And since in electrical, you can get a side job, they go do the side job for that day. Tomorrow, someone else will sign for you, and like that. So you will find that the company will pay money for labor not offered or services not offered. So when we implemented the biometric, it was hard for them to do their tricky, dirty games. So we were able to nab them. And again, we had a case whereby one of them went to do a side job. Apparently, he was electrocuted, but lucky enough, he didn't pass on. So he came to claim that he got electrocuted when he was working for our company. It saved us a lot because we had to produce the biometric in court. So what I can say, attendance is a cost-saving strategy, which each and every company should embrace and implement. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. You've brought up that point very clearly, that most of us concentrate on productivity and we forget that some of these documentations can be used in courts, as you've rightly said. Ivan Mbongo, we've noted that you're from South Africa. Thank you very much. You can say hi to everybody from South Africa. We will share the recording, and I've also shared a link that is related to this particular discussion, so you can get in and the conversation will continue. Okay, all right. You can join. There's a link that I've shared. Or something that is very burning. I also, we have a coffee date. I can see Nelson struggling there to tell us that we have a coffee date. It is going to happen in Mombasa. What date it is? Nelson?
Jellican, we're going there tomorrow. We're going there tomorrow.
Some people have already booked. They will be
My
there.
ticket. Yeah.
Okay, so we are not going to ask you to show us your ticket, you know.
Toti,
thank you for clarifying.
Photos.
Yes, you. Yes, and what else should I say? Who has something burning? Someone who has something burning to say? Okay. And of course, for those people who want to attend the human resource audits on the 30th, you are welcome.
Yes.
I'll be one of the please, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let us continue learning so that we can be able. Thank you very much. If possible, yes, we have seen your email address. I'm sure, Nelson, you've seen that email address. We want to connect Africa, to connect the world, that HR people love technology. We are not afraid of technology.
When are we having the Nairobi date, please?
The call for Nairobi.
Yes, we can't be having Mombasa in Nairobi. We have nothing, my friend. We want something here.
We had one. We are going to have one, I think, in May. Is that so, Nelson?
That's
yes, one is coming up. Yes.
Yeah. One is coming up. One is coming up.
Fantastic.
Vivian, okay. I can see your complaint. Vivian, yeah, we will be able to share your email address. Then we will share the recording of previous discussions. People have learned a lot of things that they didn't know because of human resource technology. Thursday, every Thursday, if you are outside Kenya, make sure you are tuned in between 8 and 9 so that you can be able to activate your technological savviness. Okay, yeah. Let me share again the platform that you should be able to join. You can join now. I've given you the link. Nelson, you have something to say before we go for our meal?
Okay, so I want to thank the team who have just come in here. And actually, this is the first one that we were doing and allowing and getting more responses from the team, from the participants. So we want to encourage this so that the presenter who comes, I think, is more lively, even to me also to get ideas, so that even if you are going to look at the systems now, coming next week, we now look at each and every system and see how good they can work. And I want to encourage us, those of us who with systems in their companies, recommend them to us so that we can bring them together. Let us see what is there in the marketplace. Because my aim is that once our tech talk is done within maybe next 2 years or so, we will have similar systems, but what will different will be your choice of user interface and the customer service that the system providers are offering, but not because so and so doesn't have this, so I have to go for this. We just want to have a good discussion. And Jellican, in the next sessions, our speakers will be doing less talkings and participants will be adding in more details because today I've just got amazing insights and affirmation that whatever we're actually doing here is really happening on the ground. So thank you very much. And every Thursday, we keep it at HRTech, because this is the only discussion that discusses about normal HR practice, the best practices, and how they can be done or can be supported by technology. So keep it at this station. This is our station, HRTech Talk Station.
This is our FM, yes.
This is our FM.
This is our HR Technology FM, yes.
Yes, and something also coming up, exciting one. We'll be able to enjoy it once it's so keep it here. We'll make this a full FM service for us. So thank you very much and have a good night. Thank you.
Angie, I've given the number 0710 7029. Nakuru, we will come. Even if it means that we host our HR Tech from Nakuru, we will host it from there.
Actually, you can
take
do
that. Yes. Yes, we can have that coffee in Nakuru.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and God bless you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
You can say in your language. You can say in your language. Tusikie lugha mingi. Let us have lugha mingi. Wengine wanaweza sema rokamano, wengine waseme bonjour, wengine waseme
Bonjour is good morning.
Bonjour ni salamu, ni salamu. Kongoi missing.
Gongoi, yeah. Thank you very much. You, Jennifer, yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Dena Aderu, hiyo ni gani? Dena Aderu, hiyo ni ya wapi hiyo? Is it Ethiopian?